Welcome to Hollywood Latest Reports. In a moment that took the Christian community by complete surprise, Pastor Barry Stagner, the respected Bible teacher and close friend of Amir Tsarfati, opened up with an emotional confession that left both his congregation and viewers across the world in stunned silence. Known for his calm and measured teachings, Barry's sudden vulnerability was not just a confession, it was a testimony of love, humility, and brotherhood that resonated deeply with everyone who heard it. The confession came during a live session of the Lineup program, where Barry and Amir often discuss biblical prophecy, global events, and faith-based insights. However, this time, instead of focusing on current events, Barry decided to open his heart about his personal journey with Amir, a revelation that carried both spiritual and emotional depth. The setting, a moment of honesty. The atmosphere was ordinary at first. The discussion revolved around faith under pressure and the importance of unity among believers. Then, without warning, Barry paused. His eyes lowered, his voice trembled, and he took a deep breath before uttering words that would echo far beyond the studio walls. "I need to be honest about something," he began softly. "Amir has been more than a friend to me. He's been a reminder of God's mercy and grace in my life." The studio fell silent. Even Amir appeared taken aback, sensing that something profound was about to unfold. A confession rooted in brotherhood. Barry's confession wasn't about guilt or wrongdoing. It was about gratitude, humility, and the struggles that many spiritual leaders face behind the scenes. "There were seasons," Barry admitted, "when ministry felt heavy, when I questioned if I was doing enough, if I was strong enough. And in those moments, God used Amir to remind me that grace isn't earned, it's given." He went on to describe times of doubt, loneliness, and exhaustion, emotions that pastors rarely discuss publicly. What made his words powerful wasn't the drama, but the honesty. For years, Barry and Amir have stood side by side teaching prophecy, yet few knew the depth of their friendship and the role they played in each other's spiritual endurance. Amir Tsarfati's reaction. Amir, visibly emotional, struggled to hold back tears as Barry spoke. Known for his own passionate preaching and prophetic insights, Amir wasn't expecting such a heartfelt public acknowledgement. "Barry, you don't owe me anything," Amir said softly. "You've been a rock to so many, including me. If God used me in your life, it's because He loves you deeply." The exchange between the two men revealed not just their mutual respect, but the genuine love of two servants of God who have carried each other through storms. As the camera captured their expressions, viewers could see that this was not a scripted moment. It was a real encounter of humility and brotherly affection, something rare and beautiful in today's fast-paced religious media world. The power of transparency in ministry. Barry's confession sparked a wave of reflection among pastors, church leaders, and believers around the world. In a world where many religious figures are expected to appear perfect, his vulnerability served as a reminder that authenticity is often more powerful than perfection. He continued, "We sometimes forget that those who preach the gospel are also fighting battles. We teach faith while fighting fear. We encourage others while dealing with our own doubts. But that's where the beauty of Christian friendship comes in. God never intended for us to walk alone." This message resonated deeply with his audience, especially those who had faced similar struggles in silence. Social media platforms were soon filled with clips, reactions, and heartfelt messages praising Barry's courage, faith, friendship, and forgiveness. As Barry elaborated on his relationship with Amir, he described how their friendship was built not just on ministry collaboration, but on mutual accountability and faith. "We've disagreed at times," Barry smiled. "We've had moments where we saw things differently. But every time, God reminded us that unity is greater than opinion. Our mission is bigger than our pride." This moment highlighted the maturity and spiritual discipline both men embody. Instead of letting disagreements divide them, as often happens in ministry circles, they allowed those challenges to strengthen their bond. It was a living example of Proverbs 2:17, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Behind the scenes, their shared calling. Barry and Amir's partnership stretches over years of ministry, conferences, and prophecy updates. Both have dedicated their lives to spreading the message of Jesus Christ, often under intense scrutiny. Barry serves as the senior pastor of Calvary Chapel, Tustin in California, while Amir leads Behold Israel, a global ministry focused on biblical prophecy and the role of Israel in God's plan. Their friendship has been a beacon of unity between American and Israeli believers, bridging cultural and theological gaps with grace. Barry's confession shed light on how much personal sacrifice goes into such work, and how much emotional support is required to sustain it. When I saw Amir standing firm despite criticism and pressure, Barry said, "It gave me courage to keep going. Sometimes God doesn't send us angels, He sends us friends." The audience reaction. The confession quickly went viral online. Within hours, clips from the program were shared thousands of times. Viewers from around the world left emotional comments. "I've never seen two men of God show such honesty and love. This is what true Christian leadership looks like. Barry's humility moved me to tears. We need more transparency like this in the church." Amir's reaction was so genuine. This friendship is an example to us all. Churches and online ministries even began referencing the moment in their sermons, calling it a turning point for authentic ministry. The message that moved the world. At the heart of Barry's confession was a message about grace, that no matter how strong someone appears, everyone needs encouragement. "If you're watching this and you feel like you're running on empty," Barry said, looking into the camera, "remember that even pastors need grace. Don't isolate yourself. Let people love you the way God does." These words struck a universal chord. In a time when many feel isolated, his reminder of shared humanity brought comfort to countless believers around the globe. Faith through tears. After the confession, both men took a moment of silence on air. The emotion in the room was palpable. Viewers could see tears in Barry's eyes as he continued. "For years, I thought strength meant never showing weakness, but God showed me that sometimes strength means confessing that you're weak and trusting Him to carry you." That moment became one of the most shared quotes of the week among Christian communities online. The image of Barry and Amir sitting side by side, both wiping away tears, became symbolic of spiritual brotherhood, humility, and grace under pressure. Theological depth behind the confession. Many theologians and Bible scholars later analyzed Barry's confession, noting its deep scriptural roots. His statements echoed Paul's letters about transparency, humility, and mutual encouragement among believers. In 2 Corinthians 12:9, Paul wrote, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." Barry's words embodied this verse perfectly. His vulnerability wasn't a sign of failure, it was a testament to divine strength working through human frailty. A renewed perspective on ministry. Following the confession, Barry shared that he felt a new sense of peace. He described how God had been teaching him to rest, not in his own efforts, but in the assurance that he's not alone. "When we carry burdens that aren't meant for us," he said, "we lose sight of the cross. The cross is where burdens are exchanged for grace." Amir agreed, adding, "People forget that even pastors need pastors. Even teachers need teachers. God never created a solo faith. It's a shared journey." Their combined wisdom reminded millions that ministry is not about perfection, but about persistence and love. How the confession changed the audience. Many who watched the confession later testified that it reignited their faith. Some admitted they had been struggling with spiritual burnout and found encouragement in Barry's honesty. Online comments included testimonies like, "I was planning to leave ministry, but Barry's words gave me strength. I realized it's okay to ask for help. Even strong believers cry sometimes. This confession reminded me why I started serving God in the first place." The ripple effect was immense. Churches began hosting open discussions about emotional health, vulnerability, and faith among leaders. Media coverage and global reaction. Christian media outlets such as Behold Israel News, Calvary Updates, and Faith Today featured the confession prominently. Analysts noted that Barry's decision to speak openly about his inner struggles represented a cultural shift toward authenticity in the faith community. Prominent pastors across America praised Barry's courage. Some called it one of the most important ministry moments of the decade. Social media hashtags like #BarryStagner Confession, #Amir Tsarfati, and #Faith in Action trended for days. The conversation expanded beyond religious circles. Motivational speakers, counselors, and influencers joined in, highlighting the power of honesty in leadership, a friendship forged by faith. By the end of the program, the two men clasped hands in prayer. The camera captured a simple yet unforgettable scene, two humble servants of God thanking Him for grace, unity, and friendship. "I thank God for this brother," Barry said quietly. "He's been a reminder that we're all part of the same body, serving the same Lord." Amir responded, "We started this journey to preach prophecy, but God used it to teach us humility," the legacy of that moment. Weeks after the confession, both Barry and Amir continued their ministry as usual, but those who witnessed the event said something had changed. Their future sessions carried even greater warmth, humor, and sincerity. What had started as a moment of vulnerability became a movement of restoration. Believers around the world began sharing their own testimonies, confessing hidden struggles, and seeking healing in their communities. Barry's moment of truth became a spiritual spark, a reminder that God works through honesty. Conclusion: the power of grace and brotherhood. Barry Stagner's emotional confession about Amir Tsarfati was not just a touching moment, it was a spiritual revelation. It showed that even those who seem strongest sometimes need to be reminded of God's faithfulness through the people He places in their lives. In a world filled with noise, competition, and pride, this heartfelt exchange stood out as a beacon of humility and grace. It taught millions that transparency isn't weakness, it's worship. Real friendship, Barry concluded, isn't about how often we agree. It's about how deeply we forgive, how faithfully we pray, and how honestly we love. And with that, two men reminded the world that true ministry begins, not from the pulpit, but from the heart. In the days following Barry Stagner's emotional confession, the Christian world continued to feel the ripple effects. Congregations across continents replayed the moment, pastors quoted Barry's words in Sunday sermons, and social media was flooded with believers expressing how his vulnerability had touched their hearts. Many said they had never seen two ministry leaders express such authentic affection and honesty on camera. It was a rare break from the polished, guarded image that religious media sometimes portrays. Barry's words seemed to open a floodgate, encouraging thousands to lay down their masks and be real about their struggles, fears, and need for grace. One pastor from Canada wrote, "Barry and Amir gave the world something the church has needed